I'm going to call the August 29th Saddlebrook 1 Board of Directors meeting to order. Okay, I have not received any additions or any sort of requested changes to the minutes of our prior meeting, the July 25th meeting. May I have a motion for approval?
I move to approve the minutes of the July 25th, 2024 regular board meeting.
Second.
Okay. Any objection at this time? Minutes are approved. Welcome home. We on the board are grateful to be here with you, our residents, and with our wonderful management team. My name is Joanne Ellison, and I have the privilege of being president of our HOA. And I would like to introduce our board of directors. Why don't we start, this time we'll start with Kathleen.
Hi, I can shower. Hi, I'm Kathleen Sartoris, and I'm a director.
I'm Don Taylor. I'm the board treasurer.
Len Alcantara, Director.
Joe O'Connor, Director.
Tom Swiatkowski, Vice President.
Bill Aqua, Secretary.
Marty O'Shea, ex officio emeritus.
And go ahead. And he's also an ex officio member of our board. I now would like to acknowledge our 2024 committee chairs and commission chair. The board is grateful for all the efforts that you have put in this year. And are there any committee chairs in the audience?
Andy
I see
Timothy.
Andy Timothy, the chair of the golf. Please raise your hand. Any other chairs? We have David Lohendorf, who will speak later. He is our chair of the Saddlebrook Public Affairs Commission. We wanted to give you a mid-year update. Your board is on track. We are continuing our path to success this year. Our primary function as a board is to preserve and protect our collective assets. We are your fiduciaries, and we take this duty seriously. And I can tell you that our board is laser focused on achieving its 2024 goals and objectives. And we do not micromanage. We support and invest in our talented management team. And I am really pleased on behalf of the board to announce that we have completed our 5-year plan, and just in time for the upcoming planning process. And our plan includes an updated vision, mission, and a new statement of values. Tom, would you please read our vision?
Yeah, our vision statement: to continue as an outstanding 55-plus active adult community in scenic southern Arizona, offering an unparalleled lifestyle, contemporary amenities, clubs and activities that promote excellence and the well-being of its residents.
Kathleen, would you please share the mission statement?
Our mission is to provide all residents with a forward-thinking community that enriches their lives with an excellent array of recreational, health, and wellness amenities and social activities, fiscal responsibility and operational efficiency, enhancement of our property values, and clear and consistent rules and governance. Also, timely response to resident inquiries, a safe living environment, a strong sense of community.
Len, please share our values.
Right. Our values in our community are to cultivate an atmosphere that promotes respect among residents and employees alike, open and timely communications, responsible fiscal management and reporting, and a commitment to continual improvement and integrity.
We also wanted to take some time today to talk about another goal that we set for ourselves this year, and that is our dedication to supporting the Saddlebrook community. Reciprocity. Reciprocity is an important part of our strategy. We believe in the concept of complementary amenities as the key to maintaining reciprocity. Saddlebrook One has and will continue to provide amenities that complement amenities at Saddlebrook Two in order to leverage the two communities into something greater than the sum of its parts. We have complementary amenities here in Saddlebrook One, currently existing. This includes our activity center, our billiards facility, our current arts and crafts facilities, and our bocce ball courts. These amenities are shared by residents of both Saddlebrook One and Saddlebrook Two and help create the Saddlebrook community. And plans are underway for an updated, renovated building that will also enhance this aspect, the aspect of our arts and crafts, woodworking, dance, and fitness community. Residents of both Saddlebrook 1 and 2 are already involved in the planning and have been for some time. And as we move forward with this project, input from the entire Saddlebrook community will be requested and considered. The Saddlebrook Public Affairs Commission is another important element in building a framework between Saddlebrook 1 and 2. A commission of this sort has been in existence for quite a long time. And here to give you an update is the chair of SPAC, David Lohendorf, who knows a few things about building community. David is one of the movers and shakers that built Senior Village.
Thank you, Board. It's good to be here. It's been a journey, and as Joanne said, the Saddlebrook Public Affairs Commission has been in existence for many, many years. I actually took over the commission about 2.5 years ago, and we sort of rewrote the charter of the commission, both HOA 1 and HOA 2. We worked together to put together a charter. And I think what's unique about the commission is that we are a commission of both the HOAs. We have members that are HOA 2 residents, members that are HOA 1 residents, and we try and interact, and I will show you a few things that we're doing, and try and get the two communities to work together at many levels. Did I go backwards? Where am I? There we go. So the mission, again, is that we gather information about activities that are both internal and external to the community that might affect the residents of this community, and then we try and bring that information to the community so the community understands what's going on. Potentially, the Fry's that was supposed to go in over the last 15 years down here, or however many years it was supposed to go in. So we tend to monitor those things. We tend to monitor what's going on around the community with respect to zoning in the hopes of catching a new development that might go in that would affect Saddlebrook or the Saddlebrook residents and that sort of thing. So we continue to monitor those kinds of things external. Internal, we tend to work with and try and catch potential things that would be of interest. And I'm going to give you some examples of those as I move along here. As I said earlier, it's a joint commission between HOA 2 and HOA 1. It got the word commission rather than a committee because both of the HOAs, CC&Rs, define a committee as being made up of members of that community. So the SPAC could not be a committee on either one of them because we're made up of members of both of the communities. So it actually was given the name commission to get around those things, those CC&R rules about a committee and members on the committee within each of the HOAs. Current members are myself. We've got Susan Allen, Greg Keene, Connie Kotke, Melanie Einbunden as members of the commission from HOA 1. We have Dick Schrader and Dan Siverding as members from HOA 2, and we're continually looking to try and find two more from HOA 2. The commission is set up to have 4 from each one of the HOAs. Together with a chair, and then the 2 liaisons. And my liaison from HOA 1 is Joe O'Connor, and my liaison from HOA 2 is Chuck Kill. And both of those are very good people. We interact very well together and have some good discussions. Current activities. One of the major current activities we have is a program called Firewise. This is a program that is a national program. Actually, I think it started in the state of California, but it's become a national program. Arizona has people who are associated with that, and we have been working with the people from Arizona to look at putting Saddlebrook, the community of Saddlebrook, as a Firewise community. The idea behind Firewise is that this is something that the residents do. It doesn't have anything to do with the HOAs. It's a program that's associated with the residents, and the idea behind it is that you have to sign up residents who are willing to make their homes Firewise. And making a home Firewise means that you've got a perimeter around your house in which you keep the fire potential down within that perimeter. And so it really is associated with the residents, not the HOAs. Where the HOAs would come in, and one of the reasons that SPAC is working with the HOAs is that if that resident's backyard backs up to common area, and that common area would need to be cleaned some because it's within the boundary that Firewise program is looking for a home, then the HOAs would have to come in and clear that because the homeowner doesn't have the ability to go into the common area and clear it. So they would have to work with the HOA to go in and clear the common area. So we are working with the two HOAs right now to bring the FireWise program in. We're slowed down a little bit on it because this is the height of the fire season, and we started late last year to begin to pursue this program. And Corey Gurian, who is the state director for this, has been busy and hasn't been able to come down, but that's all going to change. And so we're going to begin to move ahead with this, and I'll talk a little bit more about that on how we're going to do that. Another current activity is we've had a group of people within our commission who have sat down and looked at an emergency evacuation plan. Not a plan, but emergency. We actually looked at a plan and decided that probably wasn't the best thing, but we looked at what are the things that you would need to take with you if you did have to evacuate very quickly. And so we've put together a magnetic sheet that you can attach somewhere that will tell you what are the things you should have in your getaway bag. And so those will start to be distributed to all residents of Saddlebrook within the next couple of months. And I think about this, and I had an incident just last week on my street where a house at the end of the street actually had a fire, and the fire department was out there. And so it didn't actually grow too much. It was an internal fire, but it could have easily have spread to the houses there. And I could have gotten a call that says, you need to leave. And I thought about it, and I thought, I don't have anything set up to go. I just have to get up and get out of there. And so to have a package or of something you can grab when you leave, that's what this little thing will talk about. And so the commission has been working to put that together. Another current activity that we're doing is something of interest to the community is we're going to give another TRICO seminar. We gave one a couple of years ago, and we're going to bring TRICO back. And that seminar is set for November 6th from 1 to 2:30 down in HOA 2 at the Desert View Theater. And some of the things that we're looking to chat with them about are listed here, and you'll probably find them. They'll be in the minutes of this. But I think one of the more important ones, two of them, is how much of our electricity in Saddlebrook right now is being generated by renewable energy. I don't know if you all know that TRICO put a big solar farm just on the other side of Oracle, back over against the mountains over there. And all of that energy that comes from that is slated for Saddlebrook. So they are fully finished with that. They have all of the batteries in, all of the solar panels are in, and it's at 100%, and they'll talk about that. But the other area that we're interested in them giving information to Saddlebrook residents is on EVs. And I know the latest information is that EVs may not grow as quickly as people were thinking, but I do believe hybrids are going to be a thing as time comes along. So are we ready to allow hybrids to come in? Do we have the power structure to plug in the EVs into the garages and things? So TRICO is going to give us information associated with that and some of the programs they have to support that when they come in. Another current activity that we have is, I went ahead really quick, water seminar. Of course, water's always the thing. We get all the time, what's happening with water, what's happening with water. So we're trying to put together a really nice water program for this time. We don't have a date set yet, but we have communicated with 3 different organizations. We've communicated with the state water department, and they've agreed to bring somebody down to talk about the recharge, to talk about the Colorado River, to talk about where that water goes, and to talk about how it gets into the aquifers that are here. We have a lady, Dr. Whitaker from University of Arizona, who's going to come up and talk about the aquifer that's underneath of us and how that gets recharged, where that comes from. So we'll get a state overview. We're going to get an area overview down here of the aquifer that we have. And the third person we have scheduled is Brian Smith, who's Vice President of Robes and Resort. He's going to come talk about the actual wells that we've got here within Saddlebrook and what's the water that's underneath of it, how much is there. We hope we're going to get this from them, what they think the depth of the wells are still, and that sort of thing. So we'll get a 3-tiered level: the state level, the local area, the local being the Tucson network of wells and aquifers, and then specifically the one right here in Saddlebrook. Current activities that SPAC is doing in terms of external, we're interfacing with Oro Valley, talking with the mayor and some of the people down there. We're going to put together a meeting up here with the Oro Valley mayor. We're working to put together another meeting with our Pinal County supervisor, and we're also looking at, we got another one going on. With the Firewise, to bring the Firewise person down here again, so that we have that a bit, can move forward with that program. In terms of internal interfaces, one of the things that I did a couple of months ago was to put together what I call the G8 Plus. So the G8 is a group of 8. It's made up of the 2 board chairs, the 2 board vice chairs, the 2 general managers, and somebody from SPAC. So I call it the group of 8. We've had one meeting, and that meeting was associated with Firewise. And that's when the second meeting was set up to bring in the Firewise person. That's been postponed. But we've got 2 other meetings set up for that group of 8. One of them is with the Oro Valley organization, with the mayor, and with their planning committee and that sort of thing, to talk about how we can interact with them, how Saddlebrook can interact with Oro Valley. You know, Oro Valley is where everybody here goes, and so it's very important to Oro Valley to understand what is it that we'd like to have there, so that they would begin to bring those things in, particularly at the marketplace, because the marketplace, I don't know if you all know, but the marketplace has now been approved for the big redesign down there. So they're bringing in a hotel. That'll be the first thing to come in. That's been approved. As soon as the hotel is in, they're going to begin construction on 2 large apartment complexes, and then they're going to put in a big center area that's going to have more restaurants and higher end things in the marketplace. So that's something we'd like to have Oro Valley come out and talk to Saddlebrook residents about what's happening with that activity down there. And let's see here, the last 2 programs that are set up to meet with them is the Firewise program, and then a meeting with the Pinal County supervisor. Okay. Any questions?
Yes. Okay.
Would you like to mention that the importance of interacting with the Oro Valley leadership team down there in terms of medical facilities?
Yeah, that was another one of the areas, are the medical facilities, because once again, Senior Village takes a lot of residents from here. One of their biggest things is taking people who maybe can't see anymore, have bad eyesight or macular degeneration, to medical appointments. And right now, a lot of those have to go all the way down to Banner or to TMC, and it's quite a ways. And if we could get Oro Valley to entice physicians or doctors or medical practices to move north and get on this side of Ina, where we could potentially get them into either Northwest or begin to grow the Oro Valley Hospital, it'd be really good for not only Saddlebrook, but for Saddlebrook Ranch and for Oracle. So we're thinking that if we could work with them, we might be able to have them be able to get medical facilities and medical people. I know that Oro Valley, to the north of the hospital down there, that whole big vacant area down there has been set aside for medical facilities and medical offices. So if we could get them to go out and start selling people on 10,000 people here who are available to go there and another potential 10,000 at Settlebrook Ranch, that's a pretty good basis of people to try and get doctors to actually move up and do things in the Oro Valley area. Other questions? Great. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thanks for the update. Now I would like to introduce our management team, which is sitting across the table. Going from the far end, we have Leslie Vanoff, Executive Assistant, Vivian Timian, General Manager, Mike Treiber, our Controller, Mike Roddy, our Director of Golf, and John Reed, our Director of Operations. And now I would like to turn reporting over to Vivian and her management team.
Thank you, Joanne. A quick report today. Golf continues with approximately the same numbers we had last month. We do have two large upcoming events, Whiskey River on August 30th and Superintendent's Revenge. These are great events as they also pair with the food and beverage area to increase revenue for both groups. Golf is enjoying a pretty good weather situation right now. We are looking forward to the shutdown. We have a complete shutdown of all courses on October 7th through the 13th, and they actually begin their shutdown process, I believe, on September 23rd. Yeah. So, food and beverage is unfortunately experiencing some low revenue numbers due to the summer months. Everybody's out traveling. They have come up with some new offerings for comfort food on Saturday nights, and it's been fairly well received. This week we have a member of Easy Suites training group on site to work with our front of house management on the club software, as well as work with golf and some questions out of accounting as well. The good news to report here is there are no openings, and F&B is staffed completely this week anyway. So things are looking good. In terms of home sales, we are a little bit down, 70 versus 73. We did, the management team met with realtors from around the community on August 15th, along with HOA2. We do anticipate higher numbers for September. More homes are coming on the market. During the month of September, the realtors identified the fact that they've been working with a lot of the homeowners to get some painting done and get quite a bit of work done around the houses before they actually go on the market. And the big focus right now is we are developing business plans for the 2025 budget and then hopefully build the budget based on that. So we do have a October 4th Finance Committee meeting, or Finance hearing, where we will cover all of the business plans as well as the budgets for each individual department. I believe we begin with golf, then go to the operations group, then food and beverage, and then the last group is administration. So it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and runs for the entire day. Certainly all residents are invited to attend, and that is October 4th, and that will be right here in the Activity Center. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Mike Treiber, who they'll go through all of our accounting results from the month of July. Thank you.
Am I coming through? Yeah, here we go. Okay. Looking at administration for the month of July. So we had a really good month in June. We were actually better than budget on home resale fees, and we were hoping that would be a trend, but it didn't last. In July, we came in at 7 home resales versus 10 budgeted. And year to date, we're at 70 versus 73 budgeted. Other general income is looking really good. That's really being driven by royalties as well as interest income. Very strong results there. In the month of July, we're worse than budget on roads. We're actually finally spending on roads that were budgeted earlier in the year. As you can see, we're budgeted at $350,000 for roads, but we're actually going to go over that because additional road work on Ridgeview was approved by the board. That's at $215,000 for that additional work. In general administration, we're 24,000 better than budget year to date. That's being driven by labor. In the operations services, we're $175,000 better year to date. And that's really being driven by two departments. That's common area and facilities. Now, a lot of the spending that we've saved year to date is actually going to occur in this second half of the year. By the end of the year, we anticipate that common area will be a little bit better than budget, and facilities will probably be worse, and they'll balance each other out. In the amenities, we're 35,000 worse than budget. That's mostly in the clubhouse and mostly due to insurance, and then followed by utilities, as well as in the pool, where we're running over budget in supplies and chemicals. Any questions on administration? Thank you. So looking at golf, we're having a strong year for annual fees, and that'll continue through the year. In the month, daily fees were off. Annual volume is down. The volume of traffic going, hitting the golf course is down. Also, hot weather affected the dailies. Privilege sales were pretty much on budget, so that was a positive. Looking at the golf shop net sales, now we're significantly better in the month. And it seems kind of odd, but a lot of that's being driven by golf club sales that occurred previously, but they don't get posted until July. It's a timing issue. If you'd like, Michael, explain the details of the program. Anyway, so that's why we're significantly better than budget in the month in golf shop sales, which was unexpected. And year to date, we are better overall. We've actually had a lot of success with events during the year, so that's what's driving golf shop overall being better. In golf course maintenance, we're 114,000 better year to date. That's being driven primarily by labor, followed by supplies and chemicals, and then utilities. In golf operations, we're 13,000 worse. That's really spread across various areas. It's not any one specific thing. Golf shop cost of sales, at year to date, we're at 63% versus 64% budgeted, so that's positive. Bottom line, we're 12,000 better on golf net income in the month and 174,000 better year to date, so a good position to be in going into the second half of the year. Questions on golf? Moving on to food and beverage. We missed on gross sales for the month, and we're about 38,000 worse on gross sales year to date. That's mostly in food, and the volume of traffic really going through the restaurants is down year over year. Looking at the cost of sales, we had a positive month at 31% versus 34% budgeted, and year to date we're on budget at 34%. Labor costs ran extremely high during the month, actually at 85% versus the 76%, which was budgeted. Year to date, they're still at 66% versus 67% budgeted, so better than budget on a year to date basis. Bottom line, about 19,000 worse in the month and 20,000 worse year to date on F&B net income. We do expect that to improve in the latter part of the year. Questions on food and beverage? Bottom line, we're at 87,000 better in the month and 669,000 year to date. Of course, a lot of that is being driven by the roads, and that'll, as I've mentioned, that'll go away in the latter part of the year. Looking at the cash, we're in a good cash position. We've fully funded the replacement reserve. I moved the final 500,000 that was budgeted into the replacement reserve fund in the month of July. So that fully funds the $2,077,000 that we had planned for the replacement reserve. Any questions on cash? Looking at the replacement reserve spending for the month, cash outflows that is. We had some final projects. The steam table in food and beverage was purchased. That came in at a final cost of $4,280. It was originally budgeted $8,000. There was an emergency purchase of an mice machine which failed. That came in at $14,200. And then in golf course, the cart path replacement was completed in July, budgeted at $30,000. It came in at $30,000. Bottom line, we had budgeted $2.2 million of spending out of the replacement reserve fund for the year. We're at $1.2 million year to date through the end of July, and we're looking at a final spending of $2.5 million through the end of the year. Questions? In the capital improvement fund, we had no final projects for the month of July. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead and pass it down to, can you forward it? So the project's in process, and who's given the first update? I guess it's going to be John Reed, it looks like.
Hello, everybody. John Reed here. Let's see. The first one is the Agave Dining and Golf Shop interior design. We had a meeting scheduled with the interior designer earlier this week, but they kind of canceled on us because I don't think they were quite ready for us. So hopefully within the next week we'll have another scheduled date with them to review the case goods that they are designing for us for that space, and we'll be able to make some decisions. The Agave South entrance door replacement, I do not have a confirmed delivery date on that. However, whenever it does come in, I don't foresee any kind of interruption to any kind of projects other than having that door closed. Even if it happens during shutdown or something like that, there's minimal interruption. I am confident it will get installed prior to shutdown being completed. The Vista sound system, same thing there. I haven't got a confirmed commitment from the installer to put that in. I know he has ordered a bunch of material for that. And once all of his material comes in, we'll schedule that. Anticipating sometime in the middle of September, we'll execute that installation. Again, minimal interruption to any of your operations during that install. The air handlers 13 and 14 above the library, those are scheduled for and loaded for the shutdown installation. Admin carpet is installed and complete. Looks really good. I think everybody's happy with that. The chiller condenser water pumps are also scheduled for the shutdown and loaded to go. Those are here. All that material is here, ready to go for the shutdown. The Creative Arts and Wellness wood shop, we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow all day. All the groups are scheduled within 1 hour increments to come and review the plans and bring in their ideas and suggestions and things like that there for us to document with the existing set of drawings. And hopefully we'll get a lot of good feedback from that. All the groups have really been engaged with the different meetings I've held with them individually, providing lots of good input, lots of ideas, and I think it's going very well up to this point. I think we're really got a lot of people engaged in this, and we're on the right track. The county is asked, we submitted our application. They've asked for a more defined site plan, so I pass that on to obviously the engineer group, and hopefully by the end of next week we'll have a refined site plan to pass on to the county for the information they're asking for. The Vista carpet and tables and chairs, the carpet is scheduled to start on the September 30th through the 6th, which is right before the shutdown, and we'll move right into the shutdown after that. So that is scheduled for the 30th. Bocce ball court renovation is in process. The synthetic material is set down. Looks really good. And now we're in the phase of putting the bumper rails back on and getting the railing around the outside of the around the outside of the bocce ball courts painted next week as well. And once that's all done, we'll be able to turn it back over to the residents. Common area vehicle. We have not got an ETA from Toro when that'll be ready shipped. There's just a lot of backlogs and back orders on equipment. Yeah. Join the crowd, right? I think I'd be remiss if I didn't speak a little bit about the sound system abatement process in the Roadrunner Grill. We have installed approximately 200 square feet of acoustical material underneath all the tables in the Roadrunner Grill. And you've also installed 75 square feet of acoustical material on top of on the outside of the banquettes seating area. So we also ordered an additional 50 square feet of acoustical material to install on some walls and some soffit areas that were approved and discussed with the food and beverage department to install some additional acoustical panels in the Roadrunner grill. Of course, we were buying a lot of that stuff, so that stuff's on back order. I expect it any day. Once it's here, we'll get that installed as well, once the Roadrunner grill closes each day. The portico, permanent lighting, holiday safety lighting, that is scheduled to start on Monday. It is a holiday, and they have agreed to start on Monday to install that lighting in the portico area. Fitness center women's shower renovation is in process as well. There will be another probably 2 weeks of that installation. They've took all the material off. We had a few challenges, but nothing really didn't expect. The substrate behind the existing tile was deteriorated, so we had to replace a bunch of studs and things in there. But everything's rewrapped now with new Durarock, and they're starting to put in the membranes for the pre-tile installation. All the tile is here, ready to install, and I'm thinking about 2 more weeks we'll have that installation complete. The truss tail cap installation, I have approved a test fit of the caps themselves, and now those caps are in production, and they'll probably start out during the shutdown period of installing those caps. Again, we're going to start at the fitness center and work our way over to the clubhouse to install those caps. And I think that's about it. Any questions?
John, on the sound system for upstairs, is there going to be provisions to when they place the musician in the middle of the room, kind of where that piano sits and everything?
Yep.
Is there going to be provisions for that musician to plug their output into the system?
Not in the center of the room, but on where there's plugins on the corner there of the main Vista dining area, where they currently have the capability to plug it in. Those plugins will be changed to a more acceptable, adaptable, modern type plugins for them to plug in their equipment.
Okay. I was just looking at the reconfiguration of tables and furniture up there, and I know in the last grilling and chilling, the musician sat in the middle, and there's quite a variation in the sound level based on what table you were at. So they can only put the musicians in the corners?
That's where all the connection points at. There is no drops in the middle of the Vista area for sound connections. Not to say we couldn't put the performer or whatever in the center and run cabling to those inputs, but there was never requested or input on as far as adding that capability in the center of the room.
Okay. So it's a configuration issue that may have to be addressed.
Hi, John.
Yep.
I have just a couple quick questions with the Vistas carpet and the tables and chairs. Can you, I'm aware of a lot of the new tables and chairs like in Agave and so on. What is being replaced exactly in the Vistas?
As far as tables and chairs, at this point, nothing's getting replaced. There are tables and chairs in the center of the area now where the couches and stuff were, only because we had a repair we had to conduct inside the South Agave area that involved some drywall replacements and things like that there. So we moved that seating, those tables into that area temporarily, and then we'll eventually be moving that back into the actual Agave area where it should be and putting the couches back, to my understanding.
Okay, so I didn't think we were getting new ones, so that's why I was inquiring. Were there any further discussions about the couches and that area in terms of different kinds of tables or cocktail area?
Well, I think that moving the furniture into the middle of the area for the repair was a good test to see, a pilot to see how that was received and perceived from the residents. And I guess depending on some input from that test to see where we go from there. But to answer your question, there has not been a decision on to do either or, other than leaving putting the couches back in place.
Okay. My other question is related to the let's see, where is that? Oh, primarily with the Agave Dining and Golf Shop interior design. So that's been kind of ongoing for a long time. And you mentioned that the design company is waiting to come back, or you're waiting for them to come back with some more information. And I'm just curious with that. You know, those are two separate things. Are they in the same parallel stages of a project, or?
No, they're not. Actually, the Agave Dining was an initial part of that process, but then the Community Arts and Wellness Center kind of took priority based on the survey status, and we decided to move forward with that based on the needs and the wants of the organization. But the golf shop was still a part of that to do some upgrades to the golf shop, but we have not done anything further along with the Agave Dining area itself as far as the bar or anything like that there. We will probably eventually, but not this year, or nothing immediate plans to do anything with the Agave.
So that design work isn't going ahead further right now. It just
is
sort
not.
of stopped where it was.
Yes.
But the golf shop design is going forward.
It is. Yep. And they had a meeting scheduled with us earlier this week, and
Yeah.
we thought we were going to execute that and actually be able to see what they had to present us. But I just don't think they were quite ready to present what I wanted them to show us, so we could actually see and actually send something out to some bids and things like that there. So they weren't quite ready, so they wanted to reschedule that meeting when they're more prepared.
Okay. Was that budget, maybe I should ask Vivian, was that budget combined with those projects? And then now, obviously, they're separate projects, but when we first sent out to design, so like, what is the cost then of going forward with the golf?
I don't know that I can answer that question today. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Ready for me?
Yeah.
All right. Little update on golf-related items. The lease, obviously, we're still waiting for 3 fairway mowers, so we're getting closer as far as only having 3 pieces of equipment left. Happy to report both sprayers are here. I think Don signed the check last week for the last sprayer, so both of those are. What's that?
No,
20.
April of 21, I believe it was, wasn't
Well,
it?
the sprayers were ordered in January of last year.
Oh, okay.
So they got, relatively speaking, they were quick. Yes. So we're still dealing with that, but happy to have both sprayers here. The guys used them this week, both of them at the same time for the first time, so that was a good step in the right direction. Lift, we're still waiting to schedule that installation, unfortunately. Bunker sand is ongoing. We got a new delivery of sand this week, so you'll start to see some more bunkers, sand get replaced. They did Catalina 3 the last 2 weeks, so they'll be moving on from there. Fairway top dressing sand, we also got some more sand delivered for that, and that'll happen in conjunction with overseeding, and that'll kind of wrap up that process for us this year. At year 6, and then golf course improvements. Tucson 9 tee box is open. The forward tee is open, getting very positive feedback on that. The changes to 3 are open to play. The work on the nursery is kind of stalled at this point, so we're hoping to get back to that later this fall and continue the work we need to do to get that ready for grass installation. Any questions on any of the golf stuff? He's got a couple in mind. So, we just really identify them based on how much water they take on during rain events, because that's primarily how the sediment and materials gets in there and contaminates that sand. So I know there's a few more on Catalina that he'd like to get. Catalina 2 green. Both those bunkers on 2 green, he'd like to get that sand replaced, as well as a few more on Saddlebrook. So that'll work will probably take right up until overseeding for sure.
Nursery on Tucson 6. Purpose of this is to grow unit, so when you need it somewhere else, take it there. Can't grow.
Correct. So we're hopeful right now. Ideally, we'd get the infrastructure work done, get the irrigation adjusted, get the shaping done, the mix in place, but probably the grass won't be installed until next spring. So just a lot on our plate this year, and that one hasn't quite gotten to that point yet.
And just to close down the projects in process, the seal coat work, they've got to come back and dress up a few of the areas, and that'll be done the third week in September. And on the roadwork phase 2, the milling process will start next week and it starts on Tuesday, and that'll be between Spoon and Rolling Hills on Tuesday, and then the rest of the week we will be, for the next 2 days, we'll be up at the Saddlebrook Boulevard on Ridgeview, Saddlebrook Boulevard to Via del Oro. So those are the milling processes, and then the paving comes in. Then what they will do is they will crack seal on, I believe it's the 6th of September, on those areas, and then they will come back and pave over them starting on September 30th. In addition to that, we've got quite a bit of road work going on Saddlebrook Boulevard going out to Oracle Road. I talked to the county people today. They will be working on that process all the way through the end of September in terms of widening the road and everything. The concern that we had, and we brought to their attention because they do have an outside contractor working on it, is the fact that they've gone ahead and taken out the sides of the roads and they've created a drop down against the roadways of about 6 inches, which typically isn't a big problem, but unfortunately the delineators have not been staying up along the roadway. And with our community, we are concerned that a resident may in fact drive off the road. And if you drive off the road now, you will roll your vehicle because of the drop-off, the severe drop-off. So they're going to be addressing that with the contractor, hopefully within the next, before the end of day today. So that's where that is at. The next thing we need to talk about, thank you, completed projects, and those are the cart path replacement, the Vista steam table, and the ice machine. So that's what's going on. And now we're back to Mike Roddy. He wants to talk about some fountains.
Okay. This presentation was completed by Mr. Phillips. He's on a well-deserved vacation, recharging his batteries, getting ready for something big coming up in less than 4 weeks. I'm not sure what that is, but so he'll be working hard when he gets back, but he's on a much-needed vacation, so happy to do this presentation in his stead. We're talking about replacing the fountain and the lights on Saddlebrook hole number 2. Benefits to these fountains, and I think I'd like to start by saying I really feel like this is almost like the gateway to the community. When you come into Saddlebrook 1, there isn't really any delineation, but it's kind of the first major feature you see when you come down Saddlebrook Boulevard as you approach the 4-way stop at Ridgeview. So I think it is an important aspect as you enter the community. It adds visual appeal and ambiance to that approach into the community. It does have some benefits to improving the water quality in the lake. That is that's an irrigation lake. That's the water that we use to water the grass on the golf courses. So it adds oxygen into the water in the lake, as well as reduces thermal stratification. It helps those two areas of the irrigation water. A little background. The current fountain and lights were purchased in 2018. So we've gotten 7 years roughly use out of them. The fountain has been repaired once under warranty. We do have issues with the control panel, as well as the lights have been repaired twice under warranty. And I think what I'd like to say about that is you have an electrified piece of equipment that's floating in water. It's not a good combination. And even when things are perfect, there's probably issues. And so we have had our fair share of issues over the years, and we've had our fair share of issues with the prior manufacturer of fountain that we had in the lake. So I would, based on the 14 years of dealing with it here at Saddlebrook, it's probably something we will always have an issue just because of that, running a piece of equipment in the lake. So just to kind of caution you a little bit from that perspective, it's not a perfect scenario and probably never will be. The warranty coverage is something I think that this kind of shows how important that is when you're dealing with these fountains. And the current lights that we have are halogen bulbs, which are not the most energy efficient. They get very hot. They have to be replaced on a regular basis. Goal of the replacement, a reliable fountain, upgraded light kit. There's a lot of things that have changed since 2018 as far as lighting. So we have options that will give us up to like 36 pre-programmed lighting selections, add seasonal aspects to our lights on the fountain. Able to change the colors very easily. Right now, we have to either go out to the fountain in a boat or bring the fountain to the shore and change lenses. And so it's not a very efficient process. Either has to happen before golf or after golf. And no one really likes to do that. It's a tough job. To be able to use a remote or a control box to change the lighting would be a really nice feature. We could change it more often. There's a lot of benefits there, and really improve the appeal at night when you come into the community. So these are the specifications that we put together for the fountain and the lights. We upgraded the electrical back in 2018. So before we were running 2 or 3 horsepower pump, and now by upgrading the electrical, that allowed us to go to the 5 horsepower pump, which gives us the much taller fountain height. And so we've already done that. So we were able to stick with that. We want to reuse the wiring if possible, because there's no issue with the wiring and the cabling, and the wiring is expensive. Wi-Fi, unfortunately, is not an option for us over there. I asked Tom to give us his Wi-Fi password, but he wouldn't do it. So, so we're going to go with a control box and a localized remote. We want a fountain that can operate 16 to 20 feet in height. We want nozzle options. We haven't made that decision yet. We want to be able to hook up our Wind Ranger, which is our wind control, which will automatically shut the fountain off when the wind exceeds a certain mile per hour. So we want that ability to maintain. LED lighting with multiple color options. 600 is a 675-foot run from the power source to the fountain. That's one of our challenges a little bit. And a new control box with timer. We did send the RFP. We have 3 different options, 3 different fountain manufacturers, but only 2 distributors, because one distributor sells both, 2 of the 3. This is the Otterbein. They only provide 1 nozzle with the fountain. So if you chose Otterbein, you'd have to pick the nozzle up front, and you'd be stuck with it. Aquamasters, they offer 8 nozzle options. So these are the 2 companies that we don't currently have. So we would have to upgrade our wiring if we decided to go with these other 2 options. So it obviously makes it a much more expensive proposition. And then Casco, which is the manufacturer of our current fountain, we're able to reuse the wiring, and they offer 7 different nozzles which come with the fountain. So lots of different choices. We can change it up as often as we want. Like I said, we sent it out to 2 local distributors. We had $12,500 in the budget for this replacement. Numbers came in a little bit higher than we anticipated. But you can see the difference in price with going away from our current manufacturer of Casco versus the Aquamaster and the Otterbein. The warranty, when we did this process in 2018, Otterbein was only offering a 3-year warranty at that time, and Casco offered us a 5-year, and that really has proven to be invaluable. I showed you earlier the repairs that have happened over the years and all covered under warranty. So I don't know that we made Otterbein move, but I know that the salesman was very adamant that he was going to try to get Otterbein to match the Casco warranty next time, and they did do that. All of the Casco also connects to the wind control. Obviously, we have 7 nozzle options and the LED lighting with remote control. So they have met all of the specifications that we asked them to. Our recommendation is to stick with Casco. The price tag I think is big. They have a comprehensive 5-year warranty. They have the multiple nozzle options. They have the ability to reuse the existing power cord. They have redesigned their control panel. We have had issues with the control panel, and they have a completely redesigned control panel. So we're hopeful that some of the issues that we've had with the existing ones have been designed out of the new one. We could still use the existing Wind Ranger. An upgraded and programmable light kit will be going to LED lighting, which is about an 85% electrical savings over the halogen, and the bulbs last 5 to 10 years longer than halogen bulbs. So those are all benefits.
Can I get a motion?
I move to allow management to proceed with the lake fountain and light kit at a cost of $13,582. Funds to come from the replacement reserve fund in accordance with the Saddlebrook One procurement policy.
I had a quick question. Thank you for, I didn't know so much about fountains, so now I do. I think I need better wiring in my pool lights, actually. So I had a question, though, with the cost savings is huge, so it probably is a wash. But if you're using some of the same stuff that's already there, would that continue to be under warranty? Or are you thinking, I mean, the price tag looks good now, but like in a year, is there going to be an expense that you wouldn't expect with the other one?
It's held up so far without any issues,
Okay.
until this point, since 2018. So, and we don't see any signs of any kind of deterioration. It's wiring that's designed to be in water. It's designed for that application. We have had issues with they've replaced a connector for us, and that's really where mostly you might have an issue, is where the wire connects to the pump or connects to the lights, because those have to be watertight. And those can fail a lot easier
Okay.
themselves.
But the Wind Ranger, the fact that wouldn't be new is doesn't matter.
I think there's still life left in it. Otherwise, I'd recommend replacing it. It's inside the control panels inside the building, so it's been protected. The only outside element of that is the actual spinner that's on the roof. That's the wind moves.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and that would be if that failed, that would be a pretty minor.
Yeah, that's what I think. I just wanted to ask that question because this would be one and done then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's at the pump station, so that's the 670. It's 675 feet from the pump station on 3 to the fountain and the lights. Saddlebrook 3.
That's a long way.
Saddlebrook 3.
This is for Saddlebrook too.
To the right of the fairway on the very edge of the lake.
Yeah.
There's a pump station, a building with
building.
a pump station. I'm glad you don't notice it, because that's always the goal. It runs in the water. Yeah, that's the safest place for it, because if it runs on the surface, animals will chew it and things like that.
That's right.
Yeah, or bring it in. Yeah, and I think maybe the first month or two we try a couple and see what kind of feedback we get. I think the one we've had has been nice, but we haven't really tried the other one, so it makes sense to maybe look at a couple. There's some really neat, some of those pictures, real tall ones. I'm a little concerned about how often that would have to get shut off with wind and stuff like that, but it would definitely look nice at night. In theory, yeah, if it blew hard enough.
Yep, Mike. Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. What's the current height of the fountain?
It's I think the nozzle we have in there is about 20 feet.
So currently it's going up to 20 feet?
Yeah, I mean, it might, when it gets dirty and we bring that in periodically and clean it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of the ways we can tell it's time to clean it is when it starts to not go as high.
So by doing this work, we're not increasing the height of the fountain.
You know, there's probably some of those nozzle variations might go higher than 20. It's really the horsepower of the pump is, you know, and then combined with the nozzle that we choose. So some of them, like right now, we have a middle column and then, you know, a lower size. But if you send it all through the middle, it's obviously going to get higher up because all the water's going up. So
what's the timing of this project?
I'm trying to think. I saw it on the.
You said 2 to 3 weeks after.
I think 2 to 3 weeks is what they could get it here. It's manufactured. Casco is a company out of Wisconsin, and they manufacture them there. So it's just a matter of getting it shipped here.
So the last question, do we need some contingency in the board motion?
That's a good question. I've been asked that a couple times. I don't think we do because essentially the infrastructure is in place. We'll need some assistance a little bit from John's team on hooking up the electrical for that 3-phase. We know that's not something that an amateur electrician should be doing, but basically we're going to take the control panel off the wall, put the new one up, hook up the wiring both to the fountain and from the electrical, and then the same thing with the fountain, disconnect the existing equipment and install the new stuff. So I don't really feel like there's a need for a contingency.
Mike, I just have a curiosity. What was the cost of the fountain that was put in 2018? What's the inflation factor here?
Well, we did both fountains back then, as well as air fires. And initially we thought we were looking towards replacing the airification equipment. But we found rebuild kits, basically diaphragm kits that we brought the airifiers in and did that in-house, and they've been running really well since then. So we didn't feel like we needed. We thought we can get another, 6 to 7 years out of that equipment. So I'd have to sit down and look at that breakdown. I know Casco wants to keep our business, so I think there's some of that reflected in their pricing. Yeah. I mean, you can see the lights are a big piece of the puzzle, and they're not charging us for the new control panel, and we're basically just paying for the fountain and the lights.
So we have a good vendor.
I think we do, yeah. And Tom and I have had conversations over the years, and repairs haven't always been as quickly as we would like. A couple times they've sent stuff to Wisconsin, and then it's taken a month or two and gotten it back. The existing fountain still works. So my suggestion there to Mike is let's store it, and if we do have an issue that requires the new one to be down for a period of time, we can take the old one out and reinstall that temporarily if it looks like it's going to be a month or two and we don't miss a beat on the lake and the appeal coming into the community.
I think it's unfortunate that Tom won't let us use his Wi-Fi. I don't understand that.
We wanted too much personal information.
But he asked for the remote though, so I don't know.
Mike,
it's got to be a give and take there.
Mike, following up just on Marty's question, who's doing the install? Your team?
We are. Yeah, Saddlebrook employees will.
Okay. Then the electrical, do we have the capability to do the upgrade of the electrical system?
It's already been upgraded, so we just need to wire it to the new control panel, and we do have that capability. We did it the first time.
Okay.
So we've had experience with that.
When's the next time you're going to fish out the golf?
When we did it a few years ago, that was the first time it's ever been done. So, that's probably be somebody else doing that at some point.
Resident comments on this issue. Any residents would like to come?
Testing. Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2. My first question, which Mike answered, is why the budget wasn't in the presentation. The second thing, I just watched the Saddlebrook 2 excellent board meeting as of yesterday. And one of the items they had discussed was they put in 3 fountains in the preserve lake. So I guess the first question is, did you guys work with them at all as far as having same vendors, specifications, etc.? The second question is, if we had worked with them, could we have got a better price with 4 fountains versus 1? My pet peeve is curb appeal. I know once upon a time we had this, what I thought was ugly, Saddlebrook 1 sign, $30,000. Would we be better off with 2 fountains, and how would that help the aeration and clearing of the water in the lake? Those are my questions. I'd rather see 2 fountains. I think it'll look much better, enhance our property values, especially coming down Saddlebrook Boulevard. I don't know whether you talked to an architect or landscape architect about that, but at $13,000, it's not that much money. Thanks.
Thank you, Harry. Any response to Harry's question?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing related to HOA2, they didn't approach us when they went to bid their fountain, so we didn't know that that was something on their agenda. And I don't know, and the timing has to be right if you're going to do that together. I'm not sure. I think those fountains over there have been in for maybe a year or so, but that's all I can say about that.
Any other resident questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, this is Mike Triber again. We're moving on to the 2025 to 2034 financial projections. That's our 10-year plan. Now, what is the 10-year and why do we do it? The important things I think to remember about this. So it's one, I mean, this is a collective effort. Management puts together the projections, and we work closely with the finance committee and the board in completing the project. And the outcome is it's our collective best estimate of future expenditures and other, potential impacts that would affect Saddlebrook financially. It's a managerial tool, and it's really to help us with our planning. One of the key things that it does for us is it helps us to look at future community service fees, and it helps us to smooth out the increases to those fees so that we don't have, a sudden increase, because of some unforeseen event. Hopefully we've looked forward and predicted those things. It's not set in stone. It will change. When the board votes to approve the 10-year, they're not committing to a projection as far as meeting a set of numbers in the future. It's to help them really in setting the budget primarily for next year. So with that process, management develops assumptions and projections with appropriate inputs. We work with the board, we work with community members, and we work with committees to help with developing the projections. The finance committee completes a detailed review of the 10-year, and in fact, this year we've had several opportunities to sit down and look at the 10-year and discuss it in detail. The finance committee will then approve the 10-year for presentation to the board for final approval. Looking at the finance committee review, they review all of the assumptions, inflation, revenue targets, interest income, wages, etc. They're looking at all the departments, administration, operations, food and beverage, and golf. and the projections are updated to the latest replacement reserve schedule, which was updated through August 12, 2024. The projected outcomes for this year, we're looking at a community service fee increase of $180 to $2,980 in 2025. In administration, we have a cash operating expense target of $4,815,600, not to exceed that amount. In golf, we're looking at a potential cash profit, a projected cash profit of $257,500. In food and beverage, we're projecting a cash subsidy of $320,800. Bottom line, we maintain our operations and reserves above the required minimums through 2034.
Can
And
I
that's
have
it.
a
Thank you.
motion?
For financial projections as presented.
Second.
Board discussion. I'd like to commend my Vivian staff. They took on the task of trying to project what would happen if $18 minimum wage put on the ballot this year and approved by the voters. They went to a big exercise. Worst case scenario, we didn't know until a couple of weeks ago that it was not going to make the ballot. We actually went to the finance committee and a plan A passed and a potential plan B didn't pass. We've had to redo the 10-year plan. I printed out copies. That's just the meetings I thought I needed copies. They did a huge amount of work checking this out, anticipating what could happen. I look at hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's what they did. A huge amount of work went into this, and it was really beneficial because if we hadn't done this in the past, we'd be in trouble. Nobody was planning. One of the few places. So I think they've done a really good job of this. That was carefully thought out this year, far more than any other years I've so I need to commend them all the time and effort. It's been a huge project. A lot of people were involved.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
I think all members of the board feel the same. Good job.
Thank you.
Any other board questions? Any resident questions or comments on the 10-year projection?
Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2. I'd sent in some documentation before. One of the first things I wanted to cover is in neither Saddlebrook 1 or 2 do I see a real high quality risk and opportunities assessment with competitive information. So you can see how you are doing compared to all the other HOAs that have the same vision or a similar vision. And in particular, what I worked on earlier was the Firewise, which has been an issue since I bought here in 2003, and the realtor sends me a picture of the Aspen fire up on the hill burning down 340 homes. And now we're looking at it, but I look in the budget, I don't see any money for Firewise. I didn't see any money for the security gate. If you look at the largest project we have now, which is the community center, that's a 10-year-old project. It's gone from 1.6 million to 2.3 million last year to 3.7 million this year, and we've added another 2 million for the woodworking. I don't see those operating expenses in the 10-year forecast. And there's a number of other items that I listed. So for me, it's a management reporting. If you have something, where's your comparison to last year? Where's your explanation of the major changes? I don't see it, and I hope when you come back with the next version, we'll see it as well as a better risk and opportunity analysis.
Thank you, Harry. And I do want to reassure you that all the emails that you do send are reviewed by the board and taken into consideration. And also, it is always good to get contrary views and critical input. So, on behalf of the board, I thank you for your comments. Do you have any comments, further comments for Mr. Ford?
Well, the only comment I would make is, I mean, as we're developing the projection, we're looking at potential future large projects. And when we're looking at our community, our capital improvement fund, that's where we put those. And, a lot of the things that he's speaking to are, we've had placeholders over the years. And then as the plans have developed and we've, come to the point where we know more what we want to do, the pricing becomes more current. And sometimes it comes in at a higher price than what we may have projected 5 years ago. So these things do happen. But that's, as I said, this is a planning tool. It's going to be obsolete tomorrow. I mean, it's going to change. It's not going to. Those numbers are not going to come out as we predicted today. That's just the fact of financial planning. So, thank you.
And I also think maybe that our new 5-year plan, one of the things we tried to do is put our planning processes into words. So hopefully that will better help to explain our processes to the community. Thank you again. Sure.
Okay. Again, management reporting, one of the major surprises to me was in 2030, we have $2 million for woodworking, but the prior $2 million was for the Agave remodel. It says nothing about that. There's no information anywhere. And personally, I think the Agave remodel is a heck of a lot more important than woodworking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, now that we've approved a 10-year plan, next year, you want a 10-year plan. You will see a lot of the numbers for next year are exactly the same as the 10-year plan because we know next year fairly well, and every year after that, we know we're less sure. Okay. Okay. The first thing is the community service fee is a $180 increase for next year. This is the same amount as the 2023 10-year plan had for 2025. We try and have 2 years out to be somewhat reliable so that residents can plan ahead on this. And unless something unusual comes up, we usually stick to that. So we've done that this year. The 2025 year-end RF balance at a minimum of 2.723, that is our policy required minimum. The expected actual will be about $3,487,000. So that is a different number than you show in the 10-year. There is no minimum required balance for CIF. It's the expected amount based on what our plans are going to be. These targets are 10-year plan numbers, and they're what management expects they can achieve next year. The target for the cash operating subsidy for food and beverage of $328,000. The current year's budget is $287,000 for comparison. On golf, the target is $257,500, and the budget for 2024 is $238,000. Golf has had a particularly good year this year, but because of the HOA2 being closed down, we cannot expect next year to be as good as this year. So this is a somewhat conservative number, which I agree with. Okay. Moving on. Operations. This number is, again, the 10-year plan number. It will get refined during the budget process. Just want everybody to know, Friday, October 4th is an all-day budget meeting run by the Finance Committee. The department heads present business plans and what they need to meet their objectives. It's an opportunity for our department heads to show their stuff. They actually really know their business, and they do an excellent job at making those presentations. It's an open meeting. Homeowners can come and ask questions. There is a schedule starting with golf at 8 o'clock, and it goes through all the departments, and I think administration is the last one. It gives a very good understanding of what we do as association and why we do it. Please consider attending. This year's budget is $4,632,000, just to compare with the $4,815,000. Okay. Significant potential projects. These are the items that we think we're going to be working on next year that are major projects. Road work is Unit 21, which is the last unit. I think that has to be, roads have to be rebuilt among all units. Fitness, arts, and crafts has been discussed quite a bit. And the third one is, I changed the word to evaluate club software. The process is much further than evaluation. It's probably going to be evaluate, choose the vendor, and begin implementation. I was an information technology director at 2 public companies. My primary expertise was the development and implementation of end-user application software. So I'll be very interested in this project. I'm glad management is taking on this project. I've observed staff struggle with the existing software, and I've wished they had a better solution. Rich Sandoval and Jason have spent the last 2 years that I watched put in a whole lot of infrastructure upgrades. They're required prerequisites for a project of this type. So I think this is the right time to do this, and I think this would really help the staff here to be able to better do their jobs in a less frustrating environment.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll make it. I move to approve the board guidance to management for preparation of the 2025 budget as presented.
Board discussion on this?
Don, on just that first slide,
Yep.
Maybe to highlight that there is no board-approved assessment plan for 2025.
Yes, there is no board. There is no plans for special assessments. It's You're trying to do a 10-year plan without special assessments.
Yeah. I just want to get that in the minutes.
Okay,
That's a good point.
good point.
Okay, oh, we have a second. Any other board questions or comments? Resident questions or comments?
Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2, again. Again, I've provided very detailed suggestions on the budget in the past with a lot of competitive information. So I'm not going to go over that again. What I'm concerned about is back in February 29th, 24, me and a whole bunch of other people submitted 2,000 comments and suggestions, which the Planning Committee boiled down to 330. But I haven't seen them. They're not on the website. And I wonder whether anybody any of those items are going to require board guidance before the implementation of the 2025 budget. You know, I spent a lot of time, I know a lot of other people spend a lot of time. So, in my opinion, those items should be on the website sooner rather than later. And when you look at it, I hope you consider whether any of those items acquire board guidance to management before they go off and finish the 2025 budget. Thank you.
Harry, are you talking about the comments for, which set of comments are you talking about for the 5-year plan?
The 5-year plan.
Okay, yes, I'm aware. Yes. And Joe, do you?
To clarify the numbers there was 335 residents who responded to the draft straw man plan that was distributed after the January 25 meeting. We got, I didn't count them individually, Harry, but I know that there was certainly somewhere in the vicinity of a couple thousand comments, because it could have been 3,000. Max number could have been about closer to 3,800. If somebody does a multiplication, 335 times 9, that's the potential. Now, what it did is every board member spent extensive amount of time going through those and then boiling down and summarizing those into key takeaways from that. And those key takeaways were then used in 2 work sessions that were open to the community for discussion, inclusion, and consideration. And the result of that analysis by the 7 members of this board plus Vivian is that came out as a 5-year plan. And for instance, you bring up the point about a woodworking center. Well, we got feedback from people that said that, woodworking centers or facility, such as the one that Saddlebrook Ranch is, in other communities also. The question came up about the security gate. Could we add a security gate, which some people feel would lower our insurance cost? We put into the plan that that's to be evaluated. So it's not like those items that came in were ignored. They're all reflected in the 5-year plan. And I don't know what, I don't believe that it was ever considered to be a public document. It was just homeowner feedbacks, which is, I'd put it in the same category, Harry, as what you send us, in terms of suggestions and ideas. So there's no information that was hidden or ignored or anything like that in the whole process here. And you see a lot of that reflected in the items that were just brought up, the vision statement. We got away from that whole be the best community in Arizona and got down to things that are really important and things that can be monitored and looked at, other than just pie in the sky and Nike type.
And I understand that, and I appreciate all the work that was done. The 2,000 number came from the unit rep minutes.
I threw that number out. I'm the one that midstream during the collecting items, I said that I thought perhaps that we had maybe even 2,000 comments by now. But as I said just a few minutes ago, I did not go through and count all of them, but I can assure you everyone was read and everyone was considered in that document, and they are being considered in this whole budgeting process for 2025.
I guess my point is your mission is timely response to residents and clear and transparent governance. In my opinion, not publishing those doesn't meet those mission.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Okay, now where are we here? Okay, vote. All in favor of the budget guidance?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And okay, finally, we're at the point in our board meeting where we allow resident questions and comments on any particular matter. So please come to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Laverne Kairos. I live in Unit 8A, Lot 135. So I do want to commend the board and management on the work for the 5-year plan, having done some of that in my past life. It's an iterative process, and I know it will continue. When I look at the first one that I worked on versus the one that my former agency just published, there's a significant improvement over 25 or 30 years. So it's a process, and I appreciate that. But in that vein, I want to commend the board and encourage them as you start planning for 2025 and continue in 2025 to take a look at how you can incorporate long-range planning, not that the board does, but looking 10 years and 20 years out to think about how you can re-engage a long-range planning committee to track trends, not only in our community by the surveys that we do in our neighboring communities, but across Arizona and the Southwest in other communities, and look at the amenities that are desired by future homeowners. I want to encourage the board to set the direction through a charter to provide sideboards so that this group, be it task force, committee, whatever is appropriate, so the group knows what to do and what not to do, where they should focus, to include community engagement in that, so that you can capture the hopes, wishes, and dreams of the people who live here, and to seek out younger homeowners to serve, so that we think about the people who are in their 50s to engage them. Thank you.
Thank you, Laverne.
Good afternoon, board members, staff. Douglas Wolf, Unit 1, Lot 128. I was at the HOA 2 meeting yesterday, very encouraged that they brought up that they were meeting with the realtors, which I mentioned that we should have maybe a realtor committee or a liaison with the realtor estate community, because they're on the front lines of knowing what the market is for our properties. And that was good to hear, so I think that's a very positive sign. And I wanted to give a shout out to John Reed for a repair that they made in the fitness center, but he obviously had a higher priority. Something else broke, I'm sure, that he had to take care of. But anyway, John got a ventilation thing fixed, and I wanted to give him a shout out for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. And in closing, we got another. Oh, Harry, of course. Yes, you absolutely did. And I think as I was heading to the meeting, I saw a few on my, I'll have to look at them tonight. Anyway, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, board members. Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2, 50 years in HOAs. First, I would like to thank the board and management for all their efforts on the 5-year plan. However, based on my experience, the 5-year plan is a paper plan with no clear action items, with project plans to implement compared to our far superior third-party and other strategic plans of our competitors. Quote, running a business without a strategic plan is like driving around with a blindfold and earplugs. There was no reference to the 55-plus places ratings, where Saddlebrook was number 1 in Arizona and number 3 in the U.S., but is now out of the top 55, and no 2024 updates. I already talked about the 2,000 comments. There was no key competitive data for the vision or mission of enhancement of property values. Saddlebrook 1 average sales prices are down $102 million since 2022, while Highlands at Dove Mountain, who did a third-party strategic plan, are up $218 million. there's $3.4 million of unallocated overhead to golf, food and beverage, and the other amenities that they can't operate without, which is an unbelievable 52% of golf and food and beverage revenues. I would encourage you to look, and our residents, to look at the 828 Saddlebrook 2 board meeting and compare where they are compared to where we are. As I've stated in the past, I'll be again voting for new board members, and I would suggest that Saddlebrook 1 look at hiring a highly qualified chief operating officer like Saddlebrook 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. And again, we will certainly consider your comments. Now that we've come to the end of your meeting, okay, Joe has asked me about long-range planning that Laverne has raised, and absolutely we will consider your suggestions. One thing that it triggered in my mind is what to do with new residents that come in and where to channel all that energy and those ideas, because they're the ones that are going to inherit, if you will, our community. So I'm sure we'll be thinking about that, and I very much appreciate your comment on that. Thank you. And again, yes, go ahead.
I'd like to just make one comment regarding Mr. Ford's comments. Harry, I think we have probably the best GM around, so I don't think we would be in a search for anything to improve on, because I think we have the best right now.
Yes. And I'm very certain that you have spoken 100% on behalf of this board. Again, we've come to the end of our meeting, and I want to express our thanks to you, the residents, for your trust and support. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.